Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to be putting on our detective hats for a really fun interactive challenge that takes a hard look at our everyday communication. We're going to examine how the words we use and the conclusions we draw can sometimes, completely lead us astray without us even realizing it's happening.
I want you to stop and think for just a second. Have you ever been guilty of making a massive leap in logic? Like, have you ever had a single bad experience at a restaurant and immediately declared, nope, I am never eating in this entire town ever again? Hey, we've all been there, right? Jumping to conclusions is just human nature, but it's also the central problem of our case today because, as we'll see, these rapid-fire judgments can really short-circuit our critical thinking.
So, moving into part one, the detective challenge. What exactly are we looking for?
Well, to solve this mystery, we first need to identify our culprit, and that culprit is the hasty generalization. By definition, a hasty generalization is a logical fallacy where someone draws a massive, universal conclusion based on entirely too little information. Our brains, they absolutely love finding patterns, right? But when we take one tiny, isolated piece of data, like that single bad restaurant experience, and immediately apply it to a whole category, we completely bypass our critical thinking.
That brings us to part two, examining the evidence, where we meet our suspects. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how normal these situations seem at first glance.
We've got two distinct scenarios to examine here, and both feature a kid experiencing something brand new. In scenario A, we have a child taking a bite of a new fruit and, well, strongly disliking it. And in scenario B, a totally different child tries a new video game, gets the hang of it super quickly, and just has an absolute blast. Just two everyday situations. But the magic and the mystery really lies in what they claim next. Listen closely to the exact dialogue from scenario A. The child spits the fruit out and literally shouts, "Yuck! All new fruits are bad." Now notice the key word there, all. They didn't just say they disliked this one specific piece of fruit. No, they made this massive, sweeping declaration about every single new fruit in existence. Keep that massive leap in logic in your mind. Now, let's weigh that against scenario B. This child finishes playing their game and enthusiastically says, "This is a great game. I bet you'll love it too." Notice the difference in the scope here. This kid had a positive experience and is simply offering a localized personal recommendation to a friend. Absolutely no sweeping declarations to be found here. All right, so the evidence is officially on the table. Which child is committing the hasty generalization? Based on what we now know about drawing universal rules from insufficient data, who is the one jumping to conclusions? I'm going to pause for just a second so you can lock in your guess. Got it? Okay, part three, solving the case. It is time for the big reveal. Time's up. If you pointed your magnifying glass at scenario A, you absolutely nailed it. Scenario A is our true culprit today. The child eating the fruit committed a textbook hasty generalization. So, the crucial point is why scenario A's logic completely collapses. It all comes down to a sample size issue. Just because one specific fruit tasted terrible to them, it doesn't statistically support the wild claim that all new fruits are inherently bad. One anecdotal bad experience does not equal a universal truth. That single data point is simply way too small to bear the weight of such a massive claim. Meanwhile, scenario B is officially exonerated. And why is that? Because that child was simply sharing a localized, personal opinion. Saying, "This is a great game," just reflects their own experience, right? And saying, "I bet you'll love it too," is just a projection based on knowing their friend. At no point did they try to claim that, every game ever made is perfect for everyone in the world. They safely stayed within the boundaries of their actual evidence. Which leads us to part four, the need for evidence, and why all of this actually matters. Because look, this isn't just a fun exercise about kids eating fruit. Spotting hasty generalizations has real-world application for how you and I process information every single day. As we've seen, valid logic requires broad evidence. You need a robust set of data points to make any kind of sweeping rule. And this brilliantly illustrates the discipline it actually takes to avoid jumping to conclusions, regardless of how strong your emotional reaction to a single event might be. Ultimately, recognizing this fallacy trains your brain to just pause, demand more data, and communicate accurately, rather than relying on flawed, universal claims. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. When was the very last time you judged something way too quickly based on a single experience? Maybe it was a new genre of music, maybe a city you visited for an afternoon, or even a person you met for literally 5 minutes. The next time you find yourself about to make a sweeping statement based on a tiny snippet of information, I really hope you remember our detective challenge. Just stop, look for broader evidence, and keep those critical thinking skills as sharp as possible.